Hi, my name is Jenny Williams, and I'm the Program Coordinator for the University Center for the Advancement of Teaching, or UCAT for short. Welcome to Part 2 of our tutorial on filling out a roster so that we may invite your new TAs from your department to attend our annual teaching orientation. In Part 1 of this tutorial, we discussed how to indicate the contact information and demographic information for each TA. Now we're going to move on to indicating which sessions each TA should register for. You start out by having the options of Introduction to Teaching and Learning, Teaching as a Grader, and Teaching in the Clinical Setting. Each of these workshops is tailored toward particular teaching contexts. TAs who are teaching an independent course, recitation, lab recitation, or studio can take Introduction to Teaching and Learning Parts 1 and 2. Graders can take Teaching as a Grader, and those who are teaching in the clinical setting can attend Teaching in the Clinical Setting. A lot of the material covered in these workshops is the same, but for Teaching as a Grader and Teaching in the Clinical Setting, we've streamlined the workshops so that they're most relevant to those teaching contexts. They're shorter, and so they only meet on Wednesday, while Introduction to Teaching and Learning Parts 1 and 2 starts on Tuesday afternoon and concludes on Wednesday. Since our practice TA is teaching in the independent course, she'll have the option of attending Introduction to Teaching and Learning Part 1. You'll see that the drop-down menu includes what we call requirement levels. You'll choose the requirement level for each workshop on the roster, and those requirement levels will show up in the TA's invitations so that they know whether or not they should register for a particular session. Required means that it's mandatory that the TA register for that particular session. Recommended means that it's not mandatory, but it's strongly encouraged. Optional means that it's completely up to the TA whether or not he or she registers, and do not register means that they should not register for that session at all, usually because it would conflict with something that's going on in your department or because it's not relevant to their particular teaching context. I'm going to require that Jane attends Introduction to Teaching and Learning Part 1. Whatever you choose as the requirement level for Introduction to Teaching and Learning Part 1 will show up as the only option for Introduction to Teaching and Learning Part 2. That's because Parts 1 and 2 are not mutually exclusive. They must attend one in order to attend the other. You'll notice that unless you choose that a TA is a grader, they will not have the option to register for Teaching as a Grader, and the same is true for Teaching in the Clinical Setting. However, if you have a TA that's a grader, the requirement levels will show up for Teaching as a Grader and not for the other workshops. On Wednesday afternoon, we have 2 sessions that your TAs may attend. University Policies and Procedures Every Teacher Should Know is a panel. We bring together some experts from different departments around campus that can explain policies and procedures such as FERPA and sexual harassment policies that are required by the university for everyone who teaches to be aware of. If you do not require that your TAs attend this panel, you should make sure that they are able to obtain this information in another way. Our Teaching Resource Fair is an informal opportunity for our TAs to meet representatives from different campus units and community organizations that can support them in their new roles as students, teachers, and Columbus community members. We do offer free food there, so it's usually popular among the TAs. Finally, we have our Thursday sessions, or Day 3, which we call our college teaching workshops. You'll notice that there are 4 blocks, and you can recommend up to 4 workshops for each TA to attend. This does not mean that you're choosing which times they will attend. They will register for their workshops according to your recommendations, and then we will schedule them according to the availability in each section. You'll see the list of drop-down workshops here that you have available, and you can read descriptions of them on our websites to help you make the best decision. If your TA is an international teacher, these 2 workshops will appear as the last 2 options, and they will not appear for people who you do not indicate as international teachers. These are for international teachers only. Please make choices that are based on your particular TA's needs, and indicate whether you would like to require or recommend or make optional that they attend the ones that you are recommending. If you do not particularly care which they attend as long as they attend something, then you can choose open choice. You can make it required, recommended, or optional that they attend something of their own choosing as well. If you have some departmental conflicts that will keep your TAs from attending anything on the third day of orientation or part of the third day of orientation, then you can choose Do Not Register. If it's only part of the day that they're not available and you would like them to attend some workshops, you'll need to email me and tell me which times they will not be available, and I'll do my very best to accommodate you when I'm putting together the TA's individual schedules. Once you have filled out a roster for each TA using a separate line for each individual TA, you can save a copy of the Excel spreadsheet or the roster and put your department name in the file name, and then email it to me at williams.4006@osu.edu. If you have any questions or concerns as you're filling out the roster that are not addressed by our Carmen course or this tutorial, please don't hesitate to email me or call me and I'll be happy to help you. Thank you so much for your attention, and I look forward to working with you.